Hi friends and welcome back. My name is Sarah, or should I say, or welcome if you haven't been here before. My name is Sarah for those who don't know me, and today we're going to be taking you through, we're going to be taking you through Regressed Crow, so Kakasana. I love this pose. It was one of my first ever arm balance poses that I learned, and to be honest, it's probably still the only arm balance that I feel that I can do confidently. So today's class we're going to really break it down. We're going to break it down on laying on our backs to begin with, and then we'll play and explore. It's a really fun kind of class, I feel, that's been sequenced. It's very proppy, so I recommend having a bolster, but if you don't have a bolster, use any pillows, big pillows from the sofa at home or pillows from your bed. Have a strap as well. Once again, you can, get creative if you don't have a strap. I don't actually have a yoga strap. I always use the one that I carry my mat in. But yeah, once again, I've also used resistance bands that have been extra long. I've been able to work with them, and also having some blocks or something that once again resemble them. Maybe a big dictionary. But these are really going to help because, you don't necessarily have to have two. You can just have one, but we were working with things like standing on the block because they help to elevate the hips up. So just anything that's quite weighty that you can stand on that won't cause you an injury if you fall off of it. So, okie dokie, we're going to come to start our practice with some breath work, as always. And you're welcome to take this either seated or lying. And just before we begin our class today as well, I'll mention that if it's anything that doesn't feel right and you don't feel aligned to do it as well, feel free just to park that, leave that. You don't have to do every single pose that is given to you within the yoga practice. This is your practice, it's your exploration, it's your expression. So just take what you want to do and leave what you don't. So with that said, finding your setup to start your breath practice. So you're going to come to maybe close down the eyes or take a soft gaze wherever you are. Placing the hands wherever feels right, maybe on the body or away from the body. And slightly drawing the chin inwards down towards the chest, just creating a little tuck, some length through the back of the neck. And start to bring some awareness to the breath. And following the inhale with the mind and the exhale with the mind. Observing the breath as it comes in and out. Staying with that breath awareness, following the breath in and out with the mind. And we're going to come to open the mouth, taking a breath in through the nose, sighing it out through the mouth. Taking 2 more rounds like so. And we're going to come to practice Ujjayi breath here. So inhaling through the nose, and then as you're coming to exhale through the mouth to begin with to set up, imagine you are fogging up a mirror that is in front of you. So we're creating this oceanic sound with the breath, like so. I'm going to take a couple of rounds like so, inhaling through the nose, creating that constriction at the back of your throat. Imagine you're fogging up a mirror in front of you, using that breath. Sounds like an ocean. Taking 1 more round with the mouth open. And then transitioning your Ujjayi breath to mouth closed. So the same process, inhaling through the nose. And with the mouth closed, imagine you are exhaling, fogging up a mirror in front of you. Continuing on your own, here in your Ujjayi breath. Not being forceful here, we're allowing the breath to be natural in terms of how much we can inhale and exhale. Maybe you even visualize that you are at a beach and your breath is in sync with the waves as you do your Ujjayi breath here. The mind wanders, this is perfectly natural, just gently guide it back to your breath, to your Ujjayi breath. And taking one more round of Ujjayi before allowing your breath to come to its natural rhythm. Noticing what there is to notice after you've just practiced Ujjayi. Did it cultivate any warmth within the body? Did it change the heart rate? Did it change any sensations within the body? Not attaching any judgment or words to it, we are just observing. And then coming to open up the eyes nice and gently, inviting your senses back in. Coming off any props if you're seated, and we're coming down to lay. Having your strap close by, we're going to come into hamstrings to begin with. So extending the legs nice and long, maybe just taking a full body stretch here to begin with, sending the fingertips up above the head. And then bring the hands back beside the body, finding your strap, coming to bend both knees, planting feet both down on the floor. And we're coming to draw the right knee in towards the chest to begin with. And we're taking the strap around the base of the foot, around that padded part that just sits below the toes, and allow the elbows to draw back down towards the mat. So just maybe even let go of the strap to begin with. Flex the toes towards the face. Allow there to be a sense of activeness here. Take hold of the strap while maintaining the elbows down towards the mat. And then we're drawing the leg towards the face. Just be mindful that we're not cranking it towards the face. We want a form of possible passive and activeness. So the passiveness is the strap, but the activeness can be the flex of the foot. Drawing the leg towards the face. If that's not enough for you, maybe you want to extend that left leg long. And then taking a strap into the left hand, sending the right arm out towards the side. Maybe extending that left leg long if it's not already, before bringing the right leg across the side of the body. You might be coming in and out here. And just noticing if you're getting any tingling sensations, maybe any burning sensations, just knowing that you might have gone a bit too far and coming out, resetting before coming back in. If it's there for you, maybe you want to twist all the way over to the other side. And once again, just still finding that activeness versus passive. If you let go of the strap, can you still hold your leg where you are in space? On the next breath, drawing back up through center, bringing that leg back in towards the body, in towards the face, allowing the elbows to touch down towards the mat. And then on your next breath, bringing the strap into the right hand, and this time we're guiding the leg out towards the right. So we're taking the leg out towards the right side. Once again, if you allow the strap to be slack in the hands, can you still hold that leg here in space? We are working with passive and active here. Drawing the leg back through center, giving it another little squeeze towards the face. And before coming to let go of that strap, placing that right foot back down towards the mat, maybe just allowing the feet to go out wider than the mat, let the knees knock in for a round of breath here. And then we're coming over to the other side. So feet are planted on the floor, knees are bent, taking the strap, whatever you're using here, around that padded part of the foot that's just below the toes. Coming to allow the hands to come to the bottom of the strap so that the elbows and forearms are resting on the mat. Drawing the toes towards the face to find that sense of engagement as we then draw the leg in and out towards the body and away from the body. If you want that extra, you can extend that right leg long. On your next breath, bringing the strap in towards the right hand, and we're going to guide that left leg across the right side of the body, maybe extending that right leg so that you can bring the leg across the side of the body, bringing the left leg over towards the right side. Still flexing the toes, maintaining that upper back towards the mat if it feels good on that spinal rotation. Maybe there's a little micro bend in the knee. Coming back through center. On your next breath, bringing the strap in towards the left hand and then sending the left leg over towards the left side. If there's a wall in your way, shuffling over to one side. And once again, just inviting in that awareness. Is that right hip wanting to peel off of the mat to get you to where you need to get on that side? If it is, come back through center. Take the leg over towards that left side and just notice where that part is that feels like you're losing that integrity. And come back and then go back in. Coming back through center. Giving the leg a last little squeeze towards the body before bending the knee, allowing the strap to come off to one side. Maybe taking a moment to take the feet out wide, allow the knees to knock back to one another, just rebounding here through the hips, through the lower back. On your next breath, bringing the feet back underneath. Knees are bent, feet are planted about hip width apart. And then coming to lift the legs so that the knees are 90 degrees or thereabouts. Bringing some awareness to the lower back, cultivating it so it's firmly down onto the mat. Bringing the hands up towards the sky. And we're going to go for a few rounds of dead bugs here. So on your next breath, we're going to send the right arm back behind us, extending the left leg at the same time so that the heel is hovering. Coming back up through center, switching over to the other side. So extending the left arm back behind us, right leg in front of us. So just moving with the breath here, alternating, alternate arms, alternate legs. And we're coming to hover off the mat. We're not coming down to touch. And taking 2 more rounds on each side when you are ready. Using the breath to guide you through the movements. And then coming to bring the feet back down towards the mat, allowing the feet to come out so that they're past the hips, about as wide as the mat. And we're going to take the knees over towards the right side for window wipers, but we're going to stay here in this variation of a twist. Trying to maintain the upper back towards the mat. If you want something underneath that right knee, if it's that just wants to hover in the air, doesn't feel comfortable, feel free to place something there. And And then coming up through centre, taking the knees over towards the left side. So you might be noticing that this twist is bringing something in through the pelvis, maybe through the side body, into the hips. It's quite a juicy one. I like to do this first thing in the morning as well. It's a real nice way to wake up the side body and the front body. And then just taking another round on each side, pausing for a round of breath on each side. And coming back through centre and bringing the feet back through centre, knees are still bent, and then drawing the knees in towards the chest, giving the legs a little squeeze. So we're going to break down a couple of little movements here. Firstly, we're going to start with the hands. So extend the arms in front of you, so as if you was wanting to imprint your hands onto the ceilings. So you're flexing the wrists back towards you. So the fingertips are facing the back of the room, and the wrists are facing the front of the room. Really finding that engagement. And then start to visualize that you want to touch the ceiling. So that will lift your shoulders ever so slightly. So relax, as if you're pushing the ceiling away from you. Just notice that turns on the chest. Notice that you push the upper back into the mat to be able to do that motion, and then come to soften. I'm going to take that one more time. So pushing the arms in towards the ceiling, pushing the hands, so you want to imprint them onto the ceiling. Shoulders will lift, chest is kind of squeezing together. So we magnetically draw the thumbs into one another. Feel the protraction through the shoulders onto the mat, and lower the arms back down. And then come to bring the hands beside the body. And then drawing the knees in towards the chest. Having to bring the hands back up so that the palms are facing the ceiling again. So we've got the knees in towards the chest at the moment. We're going to take the knees so that the legs are still, the thighs are coming in towards the chest, but the knees are out towards the side of the rib cage. So almost like a version of Happy Baby, but without the feet extended up. And then we're coming to bring the hands so that they're flexing up towards the ceiling again, as if we're printing onto the ceiling. On your next breath, we're going to slightly lift the upper body. And as we do so, you might notice that sense of the lower belly turning on. And then coming back to lower the top part of the body back down. Taking another round of breath. Hands are still imprinting onto that ceiling. On your next breath, coming up to lift. Lifting up as if you are reaching up towards the ceiling. We're peeling the upper back off of the mat. And then this time, bringing the inside of the knees to the outside of the arms. Connecting them. Maybe even giving them a little squeeze towards one another. And then coming back down. Just taking a moment here to lower the feet, allow the knees to knock into one another. Taking a round of breath. And we're going to take that one more time. So coming to bring the knees towards the chest, taking the knees out towards the side of the rib cage. Flexing the toes maybe towards the face to find a bit more engagement through the legs. Sending the arms up, flexing the hands towards the face so the palms are imprinting onto the ceiling. On your next breath, coming to lift the upper back, drawing the knees, the inner knees to the outside of the arms. And then coming back down. Taking a round of breath. And then we're coming up to find a seat. So just taking any variation, maybe that's rocking and rolling up the spine before coming up to find a seat. I'm going to go through 3 rounds of boat pose. So if you know we are going for Navasana, feel free to go there. If you want to slowly break into this pose, if it's not something you regularly practice, we can break that down here. So come to bring the hands so they're in front of the shins. Take a slight lean back here. And then come to find yourself onto the tiptoes. Maybe this is where you want to stay, maybe you extend the arms out, palms are facing towards one another. And then come back through center, maybe give yourself a little hug. And then you might like to add on here, so extending those hands out in front of you, taking that slight little lean back. And then this time maybe you hover the feet off of the mat. If this feels really good for you, you feel comfortable, maybe you come to lift the legs so that the shins are parallel towards the ceiling. Taking a round of breath. And if this feels very easy for you as well, maybe you extend the legs up towards the sky, finding straight legs. You can also, when the legs are parallel, you can also bring the forearms underneath the back of the legs to act as a shelf. That's another option here. Coming back down. Give yourself a little squeeze. And then taking one more round of Navasana, any variation that is calling to you. And we're going to be here for a round of breath, a round of inhale, a round of exhale. And before coming back down. Coming to cross the feet, coming to come over the tops of the thighs, stepping back into plank, and then lowering the knees down, finding yourself in tabletop. Or any other creative version of how you want to get there. And coming through cat-cow, so if you know where you're going, feel free to go there. If you're not too sure, we're going to begin with cow to begin with. So lifting the tailbone up towards the sky, chest comes slightly through as gaze comes towards the top of the mat and the stomach dips down towards the mat, towards the floor. Reversing this motion, we're lifting the spine up towards the ceiling, bringing the chin towards the chest, protecting through the upper back, tucking the tailbone. And then moving between these two motions. Paying close attention to your cat pose here, especially the upper back. It's a very similar motion to what you might need a little bit later on when we're practicing our crow. Just taking 2 more rounds, 1 each through cat-cow. If you want to find any creative versions along the way, maybe taking some figure eights, adding on to your cat-cow. And taking any spinal movement that might be calling to you here in your practice. There's no rush at all. When you're finished, we're going to come to sit over the tops of the thighs, the tops of the heels, sorry. I'm just going to do some little exercises through the wrists. So to begin with, we're just going to making a fist with the wrist, taking some circles out here. Going one way, going the other way. And then coming to interlace the hands, taking some figure eights. If you're going one way, go the other way. And then coming to find that tabletop one more time. Coming to shift the shoulders over the wrists. And then coming back. So we're taking some rocks backwards and forwards over the wrists here. Just moving with your wrist flexibility, being mindful not to go too far past it. And then sending the fingertips so that they're facing the long edges of the mat. And then we're going to rock side to side. Once again, just going with your wrist flexibility. And then for this next part, you might like to bring the hands more closer towards the knees here. So we're turning the fingertips to face the body, the wrists, the back of the wrists are facing the front of the mat. And we're going to rock backwards and forwards. That rock can be very subtle. You maybe even tuck the toes here. If you want a bit extra, maybe you start to bend the elbows and the wrists come off of the mat on those rocks. So once again, being really mindful though with your mobility, with your body. Everybody's anatomy is different. And then when you're finished, coming to sit back over the tops of the thighs. And coming to find your first downward facing dog. Taking a moment to pedal out the feet here. before coming to find some stillness. And gazes between the legs to the back of the room. Maybe there's a generous bend in the knees to find some length through that spine. And on the next breath, coming to step forward, coming to find forward fold. Allowing the feet, the big toe, little toe to heel to ground into the floor. Tucking the chin in towards the chest, allowing the hands to hang heavy as you come up like a rag doll. Chin is the last thing to come up. As we then sweep the arms out nice and wide, gaze might lift as the arms draw above the hand, palms might meet, and then bringing them down through heart center. Bring the hands beside the body for Tadasana. Maybe taking a moment to close down the eyes. Notice the breath, notice the body. Coming to circle the arms back up towards the sky as the palms meet and they draw down for heart center, a bend in the knees, folding over the top of the thighs. Coming to bring the hands to shins, halfway lift. Framing the feet, stepping the right foot back and then the left foot coming into plank. On your next breath, coming to lower all the way down to the mat through low plank. Untucking the toes, firming down into the tops of the feet. Energetically drawing the elbows in towards the body. On your next breath, lifting the head, lifting the chest for baby cobra. And then coming to place the head back down, chest back down, pushing up, tucking the toes, lifting the hips up and back for downward facing dog. Taking a round of breath here. Coming to walk your way towards the top of the mat, find yourself in a forward fold. And then coming to either place the right hand to the mat or to a prop, to a block. We're coming to straighten that left leg, bend the right knee and twisting over towards the left side for a twisted forward fold. And then coming to swap hands, straightening through that right leg, bending the left knee, sending the right arm up towards the sky, revolved forward fold. Coming to bring the hand back down towards the mat, grounding down through both feet, coming up to rise. Circling the hands up nice and high. Palms might meet as they draw down through heart center. Coming to find Tadasana. Taking a moment to notice the breath. Bringing that breath awareness. Come to circle the hands up towards the sky. As the palms meet, draw down through heart center, fold over the top of the thighs. Come to find halfway lift, forward fold, and then step the right foot back. And lower that left knee, untuck the toes, coming up to rise for a low lunge. Having some props in terms of blocks close by if you want to use them. And then from your low lunge, bring the hands down to the blocks, sending the hips back, coming to peel the toes off of the mat towards the face for half lunge. Half lunge? Half splits, sorry. Coming to find that neutral hip position. And then come to find, drawing the toes towards the face, finding that engagement through the leg, turning on that left glute, come to hover the leg. Hover the heel off of the floor. Place the foot back down. And we're going to go for another round of that. Hover the leg, and then come to place the foot down, bend back through that knee, move any props, frame the left foot, and then come to tuck the back toes, lift the back knee, step the left foot back. Either come through knees down towards the mat or from plank, come to lower all the way down towards the mat, untucking the toes, and come to find baby cobra. Coming back down through tabletop, coming up through tabletop, lift the hips up and back for downward facing dog. Coming to extend the right leg back behind you for three-legged dog. And then bend the knee, opening up for scorpion dog, bringing that right heel towards left glute. And re-extending that leg, bending the knee, bringing the knee towards the chest, and just holding for a moment before stepping that foot through. Coming to lower that left knee, untuck the toes, coming up for low lunge. Taking a round of breath here. And then on your next breath, bringing the left hand in towards the right knee, right foot, and sending that right arm up towards the sky for a low lunge twist. Coming to tuck the back toes, lift the back knee, and then coming to frame that front foot with the right hand, taking some little rocks backwards and forwards, and then coming to place all the energy into that right foot as we then come to find standing half splits. So we're rocking our way up towards the top of the mat. Maybe you take a moment to even hover the hands. You're either pointing or flexing that left leg to find that sense of engagement before coming to meet the left foot with the right foot for forward fold. Throwing down through the bottoms of the feet, coming up to rise. And drawing the hands through heart center. Bringing the hands beside the body. Coming to notice the breath, notice the body. On your next breath, circling the arms up above the sky as the palms might meet, draw down through heart center, come to find forward fold. Coming to find your halfway lift, framing the feet and stepping the left foot back. Coming to place the left knee down, untucking the toes and coming up to rise for low lunge. Having those blocks close by if you're using them. And then coming to place the hands on towards the blocks, drawing the hips back, toes will peel off of the mat for half split. Just coming in and out here. And then start to bring some awareness into that right hip, sending the right hip back, left hip forward, finding that sense of alignment. Drawing the toes towards the face to find that sense of engagement. And then on your next breath, once you feel like you feel that engagement in the glutes and the legs, come to hover the leg. Come to place that heel back down. And come to hover the heel. And then placing it back down, bending back through that knee, planting that foot. Just removing any props. Coming to frame that foot. And then tucking the back toes, lifting the back knee. Coming to step the right foot back to meet the left foot, either placing the knees down or staying in a full plank before coming to lower yourself all the way down to the mat. Untucking the toes, firming down through the tops of the feet. Sending the elbows in towards the body, lifting for baby cobra. And then coming back down, coming up through tabletop, lifting the hips up and back for downward facing dog. Then coming to extend that left leg back behind you for three-legged dog, coming to open the hip, sending the left heel over towards the right glute for scorpion dog. And coming to re-extend that leg back behind you, coming to bring the knee towards the chest, taking a round of breath here before stepping the foot through. Coming to place that back knee down, untucking the toes, and then coming up to rise. Finding your low lunge. And then coming to place that right hand down inside the left leg, sending the left arm up towards the sky for low revolve twist. Coming to tuck the back toes, lift the back knee, staying in that revolve twist here. And then coming to frame that left foot with the left hand, maybe coming onto the fingertips or maybe even onto blocks. Taking some rocks backwards and forwards through the back of the foot. Just find some buoyancy here. Really firming down into that left foot before coming up to find standing splits. Really turning on the glutes in that left leg, but also in that right leg. Activating the glutes and pointing or flexing the toes can help you to lift that leg a little bit higher. And then coming to place the right foot down to meet the left foot, finding yourself in a forward fold. And then coming to turn the toes out, heel toe in the feet, so that the toes are turned out and they're facing the long edge of the mat. Coming to sink the hips down, bringing the hands to heart center, and then allowing the elbows to draw the knees out. Taking a gaze forward, finding your Malasana. On your next breath, bringing the hands out in front of you. And coming to lift the hips up so they're just roughly in line with the knees for an active Malasana. Taking a round of breath here. Coming back down, finding your passive Malasana, bringing the hands to heart center. Allowing the hips to draw down towards the mat. Coming back up, hands out in front. Finding an active Malasana. And then coming back down, bringing the hips down towards the mat, elbows inside of the knees for a passive Malasana. And then coming up, finding the hands on towards the mat, coming to find forward fold, as we then heel toe the feet back in, grounding down through both feet, coming up to rise, sweeping the hands above the head as the palms meet, drawing them down through heart center. Bringing the hands beside the body for Tadasana. Maybe closing down the eyes, bringing some awareness to the breath. And then coming to open up the eyes. I'm going to come to explore Kakasana now. So, firstly, I would say if you've not practiced this before, have a pillow, have a bolster, and have it in front at the front of the mat. So at the front of kind of where you're going to sit up. So if you did come forward, all you're going to fall on is your trusty safe net. And there's a couple of ways that we can practice coming into Kakasana. Okay, coming to standing and having some props and stuff close by. So having your bolster or your pillow and a block close by. And then coming to squat down, place hands on the mat, about shoulder width. And then keep your hands and your feet where they are and lift your hips up towards the ceiling. And then we're going to bend the knees. And as you bend the knees, you'll notice naturally anyway, the heels will come off of the floor. So you're on the toes and on the ball of the feet. And then start to shift your weight forward. So you know, I was doing them rocks backwards and forwards earlier on in tabletop. Start to slowly bring the shoulders over the wrists and then come into bring a bend in towards the elbows. Maybe for that extra bit of stability, you bring the heels in towards one another. So they're creating that friction between the heels, and then maybe lifting one foot off the floor. So you're coming to bring that shin so it's parallel to the mat. Placing it down, and then doing the same with the other. And then placing it down, gazes between the thumbs. And we're really focusing on using the hands here as brakes. So in yoga we call this a hasta bandha. So basically we're pushing down through the knuckle part of the index finger and the thumb. And we're pushing down through the other parts as well, but mainly these acts of your brakes and using the fingers to push backwards and forwards. So that's one variation. If you want a different variation, if you're struggling to get the hips up, come to find your block or your prop and come to stand on the block or prop. Come to find your squat, placing the hands back down towards the mat about shoulder width. And then we're going to lift the hips up again. Allowing the back of the heels maybe to come together, maybe even turning the toes out ever so slightly here. Coming to bend the elbows, and then bringing the weight forward, gazes down, maybe lift one leg to hover, putting it down, lifting the other. So we're placing the knees on the back of the triceps. So we're creating like a shelf basically. And then maybe you might like to lift both legs off. Just experiment and explore with your balance. I find really pointing the toes here really helps to find that engagement through the legs. And then coming back down. Maybe coming to take a little round of breath before coming to explore one more time. And there's an alternative option as well. So if you're really struggling to do the knees to the back of the triceps. So coming to stack the knees as if they're a shelf on the back of the elbows. The other option is, so come back onto the block, coming to place the hands back down about shoulder width apart, really firming down into the hands and allowing the arms to be on the inside of the legs here, so that the knees, the inside of the knees are hugging to the outside of the arms. And then slowly coming forward, bending those elbows, maybe lifting one foot and lifting the other, and squeezing the legs into the outer arms. And then coming back. So that's a modified version of crow. So just coming to explore maybe both. And if you're finding that these two variations very easy, maybe you want to explore crane. So crane is very similar to crow, so same setup. So coming to place the hands underneath the shoulders, shoulder width apart, and you're coming to bring the arms to straight this time, lifting the hips up towards the sky, keeping the arms straight. We're placing the knees as high as we can behind the armpits onto the triceps, and then leaning forward and lifting the legs. Just maybe practicing with lifting one or two and coming backwards. Maybe coming off the wrists for a moment. Maybe turning the palms over, padding them out. And just taking another round of exploration through your crow, modified or crane. And if you are experimenting with the block, maybe you remove the block. If you're experimenting with the pillow in front of you and you're feeling a little bit bold, maybe remove the pillow. Just finding any exploration that creates a little bit of fun for you. And then when you're all finished exploring, we're going to come to meet in a child's pose, taking the knees out as wide as the mat, walking the hands forward, allowing the forearms to come down to the mat and the forehead to come down. You're going to be here for 4 to 5 rounds of breath. And the next breath coming up to seat, coming over to the sit bones, and then coming to find ourselves all the way down to the mat. Extending the legs out long. Taking a full body stretch here. And then drawing the right knee in towards the chest. Allowing that left leg still to be long, giving a little squeeze into the body. And then taking that right knee in towards the left hand, extending that right arm out long, shuffling the hips over towards the right as we then guide that right knee over towards the left for a supine spinal twist. The gaze might be up towards the ceiling, or maybe it's down the right hand. And next breath, coming back through centre, drawing both knees in towards the chest, giving them a little squeeze towards the body. And then keeping that left knee in towards the body, extending that right leg long. Taking the left knee into the right hand, extending that left arm up, out to one side. As we then shuffle the hips over towards the left and bring the left knee over the right side of the body for supine spinal twist on the left side. Using the exhale to deepen the twist here. Or maybe you're moving in and out before finding some stillness. And coming back through centre, drawing the knees back in towards the chest, maybe wrapping the forearms around the front of the shins or taking hold of the shins with the hand. And on your next breath, coming to lift the forehead up towards the knees, giving yourself a little squeeze, curling up like a little bean. Taking a round of breath before coming back down. Extending the legs out long, extending the arms out nice and long. Coming to find your Shavasana. And adding on any layers here if you want to retain that warmth from your practice. Maybe inviting in a prop. Maybe there's a block or a pillow underneath the legs, underneath the back of the legs. Maybe you roll the shoulder blades underneath the shoulders, creating a shelf for the heart. Hands can be placed beside the body or on the body. And coming to close down the eyes or take a soft gaze if you haven't done so already. Taking an inhale through the mouth, maybe sighing it out inhale through the nose, sighing it out through the mouth. And taking 2 more rounds if that felt good for you. Before coming to settle into your final resting pose. When it is time to come back to seated, I will guide you out. Until then, Shavasana. Now feel free to stay where you are for an extra long Shavasana if you want to, or within your own time, slowly start to make your way into a seat. There is no rush. Just taking some movements through the body to wake up the body. And maybe taking a round of breath on your side before coming to find a seat. And you come to find your seat, either closing down the eyes or taking that soft gaze. And bringing the hands to heart center, or maybe placing one hand over the heart, one hand over the stomach. Taking a moment to acknowledge your efforts here today within your practice. To acknowledging trying something new if you've tried something new. Or to acknowledge your efforts within your practice and your exploration of deepening your practice. And deepest gratitude to each of you here today. Thank you ever so much for allowing me to guide you. Namaste. Thank you. Hope you had fun. Hope you learnt something new. And yeah, enjoy the rest of your day or your evening or your week. Take care. Bye.